go. All right, so we are recording. So I'm going to minimize this. And if there's black boxes, did you expand your screen there, Bill? Do you know what we were talking about with the black boxes on the top? To pull a full screen up, you just hover your cursor over the line and pull those big black boxes up out of the screen view.
Okay. All right.
And then I minimized mine. So we've got Nick on the line, and last time he sat in, we took the data that Candace gave us, and she was really impressed, I think, about how we handle subsidiaries. And I wanted to show you real quick. Right now, what you're looking at is a list of inventory that I've got, just a bunch of stuff from different outdoor stores. And as I highlight a grouping, it's gonna basically colorize that grouping, whatever it is. Here's a jersey and so forth. In the upper left over here, this is the subsidiary, and I really, this was exciting for her when it comes to the imports, so we wanted to talk about that. So I've got, Whistle Workwear is the 9 store locations, but then I can flip to this Willie subsidiary, which is, it could be set up for 2 stores here in this inventory. So it can be a whole other inventory. She did give us some inventory basically that she wanted us to import, and Nick did that in advance, but we're going to also show you the import just so you can see how we do that. And I think, Jeff, if in talking with Candace, I think she was impressed that we can import in different price levels. Could you speak to what you were talking about that with Candace, just so Bill can understand what we were talking about last time of, different, if we've got a different price level for Willie because they tend to be 20% less in one import, just so we understand it?
Yeah, so each side, each subsidiary, each store actually within a subsidiary. So a subsidiary is like a little mini company inside the bigger company, right? So Willie would have 2, and Whistle would have more than that, like 10. And when we imported, we could have, like, price level 1 could be full price Whistle, and then price level 2 could be Willie, and then we could import all the prices. And then in the Willie stores, we would just default to the Willie price level, right? So we could have that established out of the gate if we want.
Okay.
Anyway, and she liked that we were going to save her a bunch of time there. The one thing that I want to show her, and I'll point it out when we send her the video here, is that we do have the style view, and I want to show her that when things come in, it does alphabetize the grids, which is a little bit, I think, from a buyer's perspective, nobody wants to look at, a grid that's been alphabetized there. So you can see down here, it starts with the 2XL, and I just want to show you something. So it pulled it in wrong. I mean, not how a buyer would want to see it. You want to see extra small, small, medium, large, extra large, and then 2XL. So this is all a little backwards there. So if I wanted to go to scales off to the side, first, I'm not sure if I need to be in edit mode there, but I went and set up some template scales, and there's a bunch in here. I just want you to see that you could go in there and set them up once. And once they're set up in there, then they're boilerplates that you can grab and use over and over again. So my scale up here, if I type in X to get to my extra smalls, so you can see I named one extra small to 2X, just the way that it is down here. So if I grab that one, it just organizes it. So it takes doing that once, and it's not a big deal. I mean, does take time to go make these things. You just make it once, attach it, but you'll find that you use the same ones over and over again as far as the boilerplates there. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then it's putting in items. I think the other thing that was concerning, just because the other system didn't do it, so she wanted to double check how we would handle this, is in the matrix, every time I touch a cell, a 0 puts an item in there, so does a quantity. But when we import it, and what Nick was going to show with the import is just that it'll bring in blanks if there is no, like, let's pretend there was a regular and a tall, and let's say there was no small tall. You know what I mean? In the other system, it would define a phantom product. And not in Retail Pro. It would just be a blank. So Jeff was saying to her that can a buyer touch that blank and put a quantity? Yes, but it wouldn't allow somebody to do a special order of that item. And Jeff, what were we talking about as far as the safeguards there? Besides just good training, maybe we did record that you could also do what is it? Not activate it or inactivate it.
Well, first off, in the special order, they're using those special order rows. predefined in department and price point. So they have a group of special order rows, which they could continue using. Those will work fine. And then we have a method of them editing only on the special order. They would edit in the description they want. So the customer would see what they type in. We could receive it. We could sell it. We just wouldn't actually track that description through inventory if we choose to go that method, which is what you're doing now, but you're not getting as much detail. Now we would get cost and price.
All right.
Right. So we just wanted to show you that, and I'll kind of hop out of here. I just wanted you to see, putting in those that style, and then if you wanted to add a tall here, it's just editing this, putting in a tall. I'll do it all caps, and you could always add another size here too. But if I wanted to touch a cell, it's touching a cell like that to add it, save it, and it's going to put all those rows in inventory. So it's pretty quick.
What would they do at the register if they had to ring one up? Would they have just a limited function that would be completed here?
Yeah. Well, we talked about having like a $199.99 item and a $149.99 item, so that Jeff.
So basically, what we're doing now, not really deviating from that too much.
Yeah, we can model what you like to do, which it sounds like that's what works for you, and then and they wouldn't be able to order if this didn't come in a tall. It wouldn't be there. I mean, for them to see, if they flip to the grid to see it, it wouldn't be there. So they'd know that doesn't exist in a 3XL or what have you.
Okay.
Right. So Jeff, anything to add to that, or?
Well, only that what you're doing now at point of sale is a little more mature than I usually do. Usually I just have one special order row that they use over and over. You guys have gone a step further and defined by department, so the classification, and by price point, different SKUs that they would use. So they have to pick the right one. But there's no learning curve on that. They're already doing that.
Right.
So we could make it better, and then you could receive against that row average cost with potentially other items. But most of the time, a special order in a given department for a given price point, I'm going to guess 80% of the time, is the only one you're doing at the moment. So it's not going to average costing then.
Yeah, they're like one and dones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was one thing we talked about last time, that we were just gonna, but really the subsidiaries, could you, we want to do an import, and we wanted to talk about subsidiaries, so that you, and then just anything you want to talk about, Bill. I mean, what would you like to see also? We could just do that first and then get on to doing the import with Nick, because we've got Nick for a short time here, and I wanted to make sure he got to show you the import and just to answer any technical questions that you might have had and not had answered last time we talked.
Yeah, I think there was something you asked about on the technical side. Did you guys have a chance to look into like what we use with Pulseway or anything like that?
What was it called?
Pulseway.
Pulseway.
Right. That was
the
the remote access program that you were talking about.
Perfect. Yeah. That was it.
I don't think any of that, which we don't really use anything in particular. We don't have a recommendation one way or the other, so to speak, right? We don't, if you like Pulseway and you want to use that for us to remotely connect, we're certainly willing to do that. We use LogMeIn, we use Remote PC, Go to My PC. We use kind of the whole gamut, depending on what our clients want to use. Our generic one is TeamViewer, just because that's what we've gone with since the beginning, and we have a little link to it on our website. But we certainly are not installing TeamViewer on all of our clients' PCs for unattended access, right?
Right.
If it's something where you wanted us to have unattended access, we could work with you on what you think is best. If Pulseway is your recommendation for us to do it, then normally we would work with you to set up an account, and then we would have that information in our customer database under your guys' profile. That way our techs can use it in case they get a call on the weekend or they get a call late at night or whatever it may be. Everybody knows how to dial in there without having to bother you or any of the other people at the corporate office, if you guys deem that appropriate. Yeah, a lot of our clients will
give you like a domain account login that you would use.
Yeah, perfect. Because a lot of our clients too don't necessarily want their stores calling in sometimes though too. Unless it's a manager you trust or something like that, you may not want a cashier just to call into us and rack up tech time if it's something that, you know, you can handle or somebody else can handle. So we kind of have clients that do it both ways, where they'll give us full free reign for any, you know, cashier to call in case there's an issue, or someone will have it go through the corporate office to make sure that they're okay to call in. So.
And what's your hourly tech rate?
We are $150 standard per hour. So, but
I'm sorry,
we don't.
you talked over. Say again.
Sorry about that. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, no, go ahead, Karen. I'll let you talk about you can talk about that one.
Money stuff.
Sorry. Yeah, right.
That's where my brain goes best. So we're $150 an hour. We sell time, you know, by the hour, but really we bill by the minute. So it's $2.50 a minute basically. And but we offer a ton of free services too. So like we sell you a bank of hours. Those are your hours. They never expire. They roll year to year. You can use them for tech support, for training, for on-site, for anything. It's just the tech time, but it's for tech or training. And then you see a statement every month that says where your minutes are going. So it'll say spoke with Nick 10 minutes about department codes or whatever is going on. And if it's a bug that we've documented or that we can document and say, oh, this is Retail Pro hiccuping here, then that's non-billable time. If it's our hardware under warranty, that's non-billable time. That's just our problem. So that's one reason we like to sell the computers and peripherals if we can, is it just allows Nick to say, hey, we troubleshoot 10 minutes on peripherals, 20 minutes on computers, and then he has to overnight it or offer to overnight you a new replacement. And then we issue a call type for the defective one. You just put your computer in a box by the back door and we get you back up and running. And all the tech time with Nick on that would be non-billable because it's our hardware under warranty. That's our problem.
Okay.
So, yep. And it's refundable. If you had hours on account that you didn't need, we can cut you a check back if you just didn't have anything going on. So most of our competition do, year to year support contracts, whether you use it or not. And our goal, what I'd love Dell to know, is that we try to work ourselves out of a job here to a certain degree, so you don't need us at our hourly rate. And we offer free chat rooms with the techs, a free knowledge base, which is really awesome. And that's Nick and Jeff and our staff of 42 in Sacramento. It's our tech guys in that group or trainers will make notes in our knowledge base of how they fixed an issue, and then we leave that open to our folks that have an IT staff. So if you wanted, you could have the passcode and literally see what they see as far as a fix for an issue that you're bumping into. So it's a free knowledge base, free chat rooms with the techs, free email support, a free blog, a free question and answer board. So I'll get you a list of all those things. I've got kind of a one sheet of paper that explains all our free services that you can give to Dell when he wants to know pricing.
Okay.
All right. So and also, I was going to ask maybe Nick. I mean, we have customers who at like maybe the biggest location that's Tacoma there. Maybe we set up a separate secondary server that kind of sits in a corner, and Dell can jump into that from anywhere in the world, and we can on one server set up a handful of people or 10 people, and if people just wanted reports, for example, they could click from any computer, including one of the back rooms, and jump in there. Or I'm just trying to think out loud of sharing some licensing that you put in a central place is what I'm trying to get at. I don't know how common that might be, but typically it's for reports. You might have a server somewhere that if there's a lot of people that just want to get at the core reports from their home or something, we might put a server somewhere that people can jump into. So that's just something I was going to mention.
Yeah, like a terminal server. So we have some clients who have an IT staff that know what they're doing with this, right? Where they set up a terminal server and people can dial in from home, or from anywhere they want using Pulseway or using remote desktop or however you guys want to handle it. And they can run reports and they can access Retail Pro and things like that. So that just saves you some if you don't want to set up a computer for somebody that's dedicated to Retail Pro or whatever it may be, they already have a computer that they, or a Mac or something like that. You can have them remote into the server and run the programs off of the server instead of having it on their local machine.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we've done that in the past. Yeah.
Okay. Well, and I was just going to say, you guys have been through more systems than I can't think of anyone who's had as many systems as you guys have had. So I know you've been through the ringer. And anyway, we want to show you stuff because you want to see it. So Nick, let's do the import so that Bill can see how we do the import. And do I just need to give you permissions here to take over, or so you can kind of show how we dump in the data? Are you set up to do that, or are you okay to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I have the import tool on your side, but I didn't bring over any of the import files. But I can. If you want to give me presenter, I can go ahead and do that.
Okay, and I'll talk about one other thing here while we're doing that. So what let's see, I've got Bill, Big Hairy Dog training, you're training, and then, or are you tech? I'm sorry, I'm forgetting
I'm training. Yep, I'm training.
You're training. Okay, so I'm going to right click.
I'm not sure how Jeff and I got switched around there.
I was going to say, that's what switched me around there. So make presenter or make organizer. I think I'd make you an organizer. Is that right? Or
allow mouse and keyboard control. Yeah.
Or Nick, if it's easier, you could just be the presenter and take over. It's up to you guys.
That's all right. I think the keyboard thing will work best here, and then I'll get that out of the way. There you go. So I was going to say that one thing you mentioned is that Celerant, or your former system there, is really unforgiving. And I was just going to ask, Jeff last time showed a lot, and it's just that Retail Pro is so forgiving and pliable. I was saying Candace had put in a product and she hated how it went in with an ounce in the description, as opposed to, I think she broke it out into the size, but then just wanted it to say, 2 ounce something or other in the description. And she's stuck with looking at it that way. And I did check with our web guy too, and he's telling me that even if it went to the web, you can still change it there. There's nothing that would ever say, you can't have this changed or the way you want to see it. Or if there's just no such thing as it making a phantom product. And that's something, Nick, in showing this import, we're going to have it go into the grid so that you can see when it dumps in, there is a open space there, kind of like on your website when it's not available in a 7.5 wide. You'll see that because the grid imports it, makes that a blank space as opposed to a quantity and then a line item in inventory. Okay. So that's important. So we'll show you doing the import, and then we will talk. I wanted to maybe have Jeff explain subsidiaries a little bit better, which is you can have different costs, different prices. It really is exactly what I think Willys and Whistle Workwear are meant to be doing right now, is having subsidiaries like Puma, as an example. Were you in that conversation, Bill, when we started talking about subsidiaries, or did you jump off by then?
No, I was off at that point.
Okay, so maybe Jeff, if you can just explain subsidiaries a little bit better and how they work and what you can do between the subs and so forth. Just big picture. Oops, you might be on mute too. Are you on mute?
Are you on? You're talking to me?
Yes, I'm sorry. So I was going to say, just talking about subsidiaries, the big question, and I think we determined it on the last one with Candace, is that they have different costs. So because they do off-price, off-brand or certain jackets, so they're like 20% historically or less, then they do want to have a different cost because they might buy that exact same Carhartt Barkley jacket for $49 when it's normally, $69 or something, right? $69.99. So they might get it at a special cost. So that means it's a separate subsidiary with a separate inventory list, but it's the same line item. We'll try and make it so that it's the exact same line item, but it has a different cost and a different price.
Well, it needs to have the same item SID. It needs to be created in one subsidiary and then moved over to the other one, which you can have regional items that you create once and go to both.
Okay, wait, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but while Nick's here, Nick, can you just explain what you're doing as you're going through? Because I think Bill will appreciate what you're trying to do there. I want him to see the actual tool too, if you're preparing the data in the comma.
Exactly. Yeah. So Bill, this is our import tool, and so we got a set of data from you guys, and I did my best to put everything where I thought it should go. But basically, here's what we do here: is we build our map in the inventory CSV tool. We tell it what is going into where in Retail Pro here, and then we build a CSV file with that information. So basically just a regular old mapping. And this is really nice when you're doing catalogs, or you just have a a big set of items that you want to get into the system, not having to import them, get them in manually. Or if you wanted to make a massive change, right? If you wanted to change everything that said light gray to LTGR or something like that, you could use this tool to do that, where you export everything and then you can import it back in with your change.
So you didn't mean you didn't make this. You didn't have to do this. The tool did this, right? The tool made this data that we're looking at here and put it all to comma delimited, right?
He saved it from the spreadsheet. There's a CSV.
Yes. Yeah, I turned the spreadsheet that they gave us into the CSV file, and then I built the map in the tool, and then I basically just import it here, and then it brings in all the items into Retail Pro as new items. And this is one of the things that Karen was talking about, where it's not going to create phantom items, right? This import tool will only create the items that we have in the file. In Retail Pro, so there's not going to be any of those extra colors that don't exist or were never ordered or anything like that. It's only going to be the items that exist in the file.
And you can do this with one file. You don't have to do it a few times.
You can have the file can be as big as you want. Yeah. It can be as big as you want.
The way we have to do imports is we have to do it sometimes in 2 or 3 segments, just because of the way the database is set up. You got to accommodate all the different tables, and one import imports to one group of tables, and the next import in groups to another group of tables, like that. So every kind of.
We should have shown this maybe from the beginning. I'm sorry, I didn't. I know Bill is IT, so he'd probably appreciate the long version than the short. But maybe we go back through those fields, and when you say you built the map, it's really just picking the subsidiary in the upper left there.
We had was building like with aliases. Using Excel to create these CSVs with aliases, they have these leading zeros. So every time we create CSVs or go back and forth between Excel, it takes the zeros off. So it's kind of a nuisance.
Well, the good news about
go ahead.
I was going to say the good news about Retail Pro is when it imports this UPC, it's going to pad the 0 to 12 digits anyway. So when you look at it in Retail Pro, it's going to have that 0 that Excel can drop off. And there's also ways around that too. I've definitely run into that issue in the past, but if you load the field as a text field in Excel, as opposed to a number or something like that, it'll keep the literal value as opposed to dropping the leading zeros.
We've been given those little shortcuts, but user error still makes people forget to do that.
Yeah, certainly. I've been there. Yeah. But so what Karen was saying about the map is all these fields in this mapping that I've made. So all these ones on the left exist in Retail Pro. So anything that you are going to need to import exists in this file, in this program. So you can just build the mapping that you want. So this is column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4 in the CSV file, and then you just make them match up in here. That you build from your big massive file, and then you import them and they go right in. So so we can go look for this item right here. We can look for the description actually.
So this is flat file import. It's not relational. If you have sales data or anything else attached to it, you'd have to handle that.
This is a relational database, and you can go into the Technician's Toolkit and view the Oracle tables and see the connectors. Yes, it's completely relational, ODBC.
So would you be able to attach sales data and stuff to this data if you import it?
So we have had a tool in the past that's done that. It wasn't fully vetted though, so it wasn't the most successful tool that we've ever worked with, and it kind of just stopped in its tracks. As far as possibility, it certainly is possible.
The tool was written to bring in basic sales data without customer names, and then at some point we tried to reuse it with customer names, and it wasn't designed to do that. But yes, there could be sales data brought in that.
I'm sorry to interrupt you guys, but the Celerant one, which is what we're talking about here, that one we do have Woodstack, and I gave you guys that reference. But there was a tool Malcolm wrote for bringing in the history, but it was it was taken out customer, info, and it was not, maybe it, I don't remember if it did Visa and MasterCard, it was truncating some of the information, but it was some history coming through. And then for another client,
it wouldn't be for seller and stuff anyway. It'd be for RMS, which is in a
it would be
sequel.
for RMS I think RMS would be easier there, but he could write a tool potentially there. So I told you guys we would say out loud if there's something that would have a price tag. Something like that would have a price tag. Everything else we've been showing you is just core retail pro. There's no gotchas. There aren't, this isn't a beta version or anything that we're going to have you work out our bugs on a daily basis or anything funky. But if you wanted history to pull through, typically we say it's not that it can't be done. We always look at, should it be done? How much history do you have? How valuable is that when we could keep RMS Microsoft on a computer that you could access if you need to for a while we're kind of crossing the river here. We did pull it in for Celerant for somebody, and that tool was something that Malcolm wrote for me, and we do have that one. RMS would be a different tool that we'd have to create. And the ones that you guys are talking about, is that one that pulled in the base without the names, was that the Celerant one, or was that something else, Jeff, that I'm not knowing?
I want to say that was for like a wood stack, and it was for a basic.
That was that was the wood stack.
What we found is we had to import the data. It's a relational database, so you can't import history on something that's not in the relational database. So you had to import all the items, even the old ones. Then you could import then the history thing was very basic stuff. It was like quantity and SKU basically, and then like payment type or something. It was very, very simple.
Right. So that was the only one that we've done in my tenure, and I've been here 25 years. So that's the one that I know of where somebody spent, a wood stack, and they're on your reference list. You can visit with those guys because we did pull them off of Celerant. And we did pull the history with it because they're a Nike brand shop that said January 1, we want all the history of Nike, or Nike wasn't going to let them be a brand shop for Nike. And they have seven or eight stores. Anyways, they'd be a good one to talk to. It did work successfully. I've got another client who's taking that same tool, and we're adding serial numbers because they're a firearm shop coming off of Celerant, right? So I took one off, and now I've got another guy who is adding that into that feature for us. Anyway, that's something that's happening. But I don't know that, if it's important to pull in the RMS, we'd have to look at it, and that would be a Malcolm conversation for our custom tool guy.
Okay.
And then this is Whistle Workwear and Willie's. So I'm sorry, did you just pull in this into Whistle? So did it pull in that inventory into? I thought it would add to the inventory.
Yeah, this was the import. This was the import of the file that we just did.
I'm confused. So sorry. Because you did a lookup, I was saying, gosh, that doesn't look like all stuff.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you did a search.
We're looking for that. I just wanted to show them the style. So.
Of course, I was just thinking, wow, that looks like we were in that Willie step there, pulled in one style there where we did that one import. Anyway, perfect. And so it pulled everything in. If we go to style view there, I just want to make the point for the video for Candace, that as it imports in, if there isn't something, if this, for example, comes in, a couple different, regular and tall or something. I don't know if this is the one we want to look at here, but let's look at it in a grid. Yeah, this one comes in regular and tall, and you see where there's a 4X, and I'd have to go make that just like I did before. Hopefully she'll remember that, but see how there's no there's no 0 in that 4X. So there isn't a 4X tall, and there isn't a 4X small, and there isn't a 4X medium. So when I go to items, then there won't be a small tall or a medium tall. So here's I like to look at it on the left side, excuse me. So, regular and talls are grouped. She also didn't like that it would segment those and flip them all over the place. We will organize it so that it has the sizes properly in the grid too, by just attaching that standard grid like we did. But any questions about that?
And you just do it by not having it in there, it omits it from the list and the grid?
Right.
Correct.
She was concerned that they would accidentally, that it would put a check digit in there, because I think it does. When I put a check digit, now there's going to be a small, there's a small tall now. And if I put a 0 or a quantity or whatever I want in here, it does create that item from touching the cell. So when I go to items, it's in there. If I touch it and give it something, that's how easy it is to put in a row. You know, you don't necessarily want those rows of inventory just in there.
So
I'm going to add something.
Activity on it, it doesn't remove it if you zero or remove that, does it? I mean, if there hasn't been any activity
Say it
to
again.
it. If there hasn't been any activity tied to it and you blank it out, does it remove it?
Well, that was the other cool thing that I think you missed last time. So Jeff, if we could go show how, I mean, you don't have to do that whole SQL statement thing that you did last time because that was a lot. He might appreciate it, but just to give the in general, if we go do that inactivate thing in bulk or show, actually, Bill would be the guy to appreciate that.
All right. Hold on. So first off, internally, there's a tool that inactivates in bulk. It's called Clean House. So if items are eligible meaning not on hand, not on a purchase order, not on a transfer order, not on a special order, right? It can't be being committed to something else, right? Then there's a tool that you can just use standard filters and say mark, select all, and delete, and Clean House, and it inactivates them. Now we can also, at an SQL command, at the back end of it, there is the ability to go in and say update the inventory table, set all these things to inactive equals 0, or inactive, active, it's actually active. So inactive equals 0, where vendor code equals XYZ. The tricky part is the where clause, right?
So it inactivates but doesn't delete.
Correct. No, it has to be there for future reporting.
Right. But I said,
well,
but
I think Bill,
if it had no history or no activity on it, it shouldn't have to be there for future reporting, would it?
yeah, and that's what I was going to say too, Bill. Is if the item doesn't have any history or it's not tied to any other record. We call those child records, right? If it's not a child record of any other thing in the relational database, and you go to inactivate it, it will prompt you. It'll prompt you to delete it, right? So you're exactly right. If you accidentally create an item, or you create a department, or you create a customer, and it's not linked to any child records, you can inactivate it, and it'll prompt you to remove the item.
We call them orphan records.
yeah, it's similar, yeah.
Now it's a child orphan, nice.
Yeah, well, a child is a child and usually ties to something, but the orphans do not.
Right.
But and I think that Candace was saying that the last rep, again with the Celerant system, told her that she could bulk inactivate or uncheck these basically, and that wasn't correct. So Jeff took the time to go out and write a statement to show her how we just had it do anything in a filter, basically not a filter, but with like Jeff said, this or that, you could put in all the details, and then it just checked off tons of product, and she saw that, and it just gave her the comfort level that if for some reason it's not working to train the buyers, don't touch that cell with a 0 or put a quantity in there. If they keep screwing it up, there is an alternative to let's just make it so that they can't possibly do that, right? We could just, as you import things in, you could just filter, bulk inactivate it essentially with the check marks, and then it won't even be available at all.
Right, that's the clear thing is to import it with a mark. Import it with a seasonal category mark or something that lets you go back and grab those later, right? That's the trick.
All right.
So we approached it from both sides. I just wanted to make sure she gave me sort of a checklist of things that are driving her nuts. And I know that there's a big, long list of things that were in that system. So now we're turning to our mess because that's what you're living with right now and things that, are frustrating. So we just want to make sure you see that in our grid, maybe doing a markdown, for example, in a bulk. So we wanted to show her going to marking down just, for example, this product, or filtering for a style or for a department or a size or anything. And then just going to price cost manager and saying, we're going to adjust all these prices. Actually, I'd first want to get into my price manager column that shows, markdown and markdown percentage. So just in bulk, taking something down 20% because you're going to sell it in the Willie store or something. And Jeff, what might be since they don't really have a warehouse per se, I mean, how would they typically transfer subsidiary to subsidiary? Could you explain the tool for transferring do you ever do that where you guys send a bunch of markdown closeouts over to the 2 Willie locations? or do you buy specifically for those locations at
I've
knockoff?
heard of that in the past where they've sent some over there. I don't know if it's that super common, but yeah, I've heard of that discussion. So.
Well, no, you can.
Well,
If you go to your slip screen, Karen, it should be pretty obvious.
Okay. Well, and I don't want to just go all over the place, but I wanted to show you the markdown if you want to see it, or you tell us what you want to see. We wanted to show the import. We wanted to talk about subsidiaries because, like on the front of my screen, Puma is a subsidiary. We do North American, Puma, which is 105 stores in the U.S., but they're actually based in Germany. We talked about that. And so they've got their hub in Germany that has all their, their core. That's where their corporate office is. And then we just manage these stores as a separate sub or a separate hub for them that has, a core, and then all those 105 stores that roll up to the corporate here in the U.S. that's in Boston. And then that rolls up all the way to Germany. So it's this, it's a hub and then another hub, basically. So the subsidiaries can be completely separate currencies, completely separate costs. That's what we're doing here for you, is having two separate entities, and then rolling it all up so that you can see it as one. But do you have any questions about the subs, or what would you like to see? Because I want to go where you would like to go on the demo here. If you want to see a markdown, we could do that, or we could do whatever is interesting for you.
Well, Candace was sending me a message. She for something messed up. She was on a call, but she's trying to find out, are you stopping at 5 or what's the plan here?
I think Nick has to go at 5, and I think we have Nick and Jeff for 1 hour, yes. So unfortunately, they have just a few minutes.
All right.
But I could go into anything else that you want to see, but we really wanted to zero in on just those things Candace really wanted to see, was that matrix grid with the cells, so she could see, yep, they're not orderable, or they're not orderable on a special order, but also how would we deal with the buyers so they can't make a mistake there, which we have the two-pronged assault on that, where we could inactivate them, and of course train the buyers not to add to those blank cells.
Yeah, I'll just try to find out if there's more. Did you go with her on the non-sellable inventory too? Did you cover all that with her as well?
Like sellable or discontinued, and sellable. Yeah. Let's go to those two fields because those are important. And maybe Jeff can tell me the difference. There is a difference, and I apologize. I'm not.
I know the challenge has been for a lot of places is how to manage and report on that when it's at the store level. Every store has its own not for sale or non-sellable or RTV, different terminologies. Basically the same. Yeah, an inventory that's not in.
Okay, so that was the report that Jeff that you did, that you had the question on at the top, and we talked about, do we want a separate bucket of inventory, or how would we handle it as far as making it? You'd start a return to vendor and then just not finish it.
Well, what we went over is two things. There is the option to have another inventory, but the normal process, I think we have to take a step back and look at the normal process for receiving and returns. The normal process is typically an order is generated, whether it's written on a PO or not. There is a receiving that occurs, and then there's a reconciliation when the invoice arrives. The same thing happens in an RTV. We return it, and we have to wait for this reconciliation. So there's this limbo of items that have not been reconciled that they're fully reportable. So normally, most of my clients would actually make the return voucher, as we call it a voucher, the return transaction. They would post it, and the items would then get set on the shelf with a little slip. But they may be at that point waiting for their RA number, RMA number, or whichever, right? And then when they get that, they would then finish it and send it, or sometimes they would consolidate them, go back and void a few, and then put them all on one or something. But typically, we actually remove that stuff from the store, but then it would be reportable in that it would not be finished, right? It would not be reconciled. There would be no credit memo number in there yet.
So what you're showing here is from the import, or is this something else?
This is just some Carhartt product. It's just it could be your product. I don't know what was that Carhartt.
One you did on the import. Do you have that one? Does it show it kind of?
Yeah.
With the matrix
we can
and
find
everything.
So I mean, it was Carhartt. So we've got did a bunch.
Yeah, just could see it post import matrix format. What it forgot there.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So so this is all Carhartt stuff. Actually, I'm in a cart, so it's filtering for me for all Carhartt stuff. To find something that was her product there. So I think it was there you go. Was this? I'm sorry, Nick. Do you have the name of what you put there, or
it's
could you
right
copy?
in this actually. It's actually right in the CSV file. So here are the ones here. So here's the description one there.
Okay. So, or what's this? This number is, sorry. Description is one. Is what is this
Yeah,
field right here?
100237. Yeah.
Okay, that's description one. Okay, so I'll just put that right in there, and let's see. It's not letting me paste it, so I maybe I didn't do a copyright. Sorry about that. Would you go back to that screen a second?
Here, let me try for
Import.
you. Let's see if I can
Okay,
handle it here.
Okay, copy paste. All right, there we go. So then we're just gonna grab from this. I'll just grab from. Oh, so this one's discontinued item can't be listed. So I think that was. I think I just in showing discontinued, I marked that one. Just that one. What discontinued would be. So I'm gonna grab these other ones. Just to plug them in there. So okay, just to have something, and then say okay. So pulling it to, this is the RTV, the return to vendor. So we've got it set so that description one goes here. I manually put in stuff all the time, and I like to put the verbal description in the description one, but usually that's backwards. It would usually go in description two, and description one is going to be more like a style number or an order number that the customer, that they recognize. Oh, and I see Cameron, oh, sorry, Candace is in there. And let's see, there she is. Hi, Candace.
Hey, I'm so sorry.
Hey.
I got
That's
stuck on
okay.
another call.
Oh, not at all. I'm sorry though, but I think Jeff and Nick, our guys, have to head out the door here, so they're. I don't think they have a lot of time today. They just had the hour. And
No.
Jeff, do you have another appointment?
No, it's no problem. I just wanted to see some of the SKUs that we pulled into
Yeah.
the matrix.
Well, well, I've been recording for you too, so I'm going to send you the recording so you have that. So, yeah, and then, but we wanted to show that how it brought in, it doesn't go put in a small, tall, and that when we went to the grid, just to show that, would it be in the choose edit? If I flip to grid in the choose edit, Jeff, is it going to have the blanks like you know what I mean? Like if I'm choosing and editing and going to style view?
You choose edit and you go to style view. Now, and on all the imports that I saw, we populated all grid points. We didn't have any blanks, but and you wouldn't typically have a blank in a small through extra large grid. You would in a like a men's pant run or something that has waist and leg length or something. Then you'd end up with the corners not. There's no such thing as a 28 waist and a 44 length. So there's just not.
Right, and she just wants to be clear that it's going to have a blank spot there as opposed to some weird phantom product, and that's so when I click on that, so see, and I think I grabbed. I don't know that.
Well, that one attribute right there,
my weird product.
77 on the left-hand side, which is weird, but.
No, this isn't their import. This isn't that import style. I think I have the cursor on some of my random stuff that I do all weird. So I would go back and put it on one of their products that we imported. This is not that. This is something
right,
else.
But this does show an example of that. There are fields on the far right, and there are fields in the horizontal in the 77. Because 77 has that one item 34, right? That exists. That item exists. It's got a 0 in that grid point, right? And is it 36? 36, yeah. But all the other ones, they don't exist. Those grid points are blank because they are actually not there.
But I want them to see their stuff that we just didn't import on, so I'm sorry, Jeff.
Agree.
Go find it. That was I still can't cut and paste. So, Nick, I apologize if you're still there. If you could flip to that screen and do that same copy paste, I apologize. Absolutely. So we did the import, and I want Candace to see it too, just real quick. So here, this was it coming over in this. You just saw kind of a blip there, but that is all of the common deleted file that Nick massaged into the import, and then it put in Retail Pro all the items, and he's just doing a search real quick with one of those items real quick. So here's the matrix. What we showed that you missed is that you can just grab a boilerplate template, throw it on top of this matrix, open it once and save it, and it organizes and alphabetizes those items too. So anyways, we picked some items to pull back, and I did want to flip it to the style view real quick just so you can see. I touched some of the items just to make a point, so I actually ruined the the grid there for us on a few items, but you'll get the idea. So I like to split the screen and do, you know, the form view on the top. I touched the small and the medium just to show that that once I put a cell in there, but I didn't ruin this one, but I did put a quantity in these little guys, so it did define those, but they were blank to start when we did the import. Hopefully that makes sense. So the first one, the 4X, is tall. There wasn't one, so it came in blank. And also small came in blank and medium came in blank, so there was no items. And then I just showed Bill kind of quickly that it, you know, as soon as I added a 0, it put those items into the list here. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so in real life, they aren't there, and then we quickly showed how we could activate something or inactivate it by unchecking it and filter. So worst case, you know, best case is you train your employees not to do what I did, which is add a quantity or something there. And then in you know, if that doesn't work and they're just not following the rules, we can do that statement that Jeff got into the SQL side and made was it a SQL statement, Jeff, for you to go look at everything in a filter and kind of in a bulk inactivate everything?
Yes, we did it for a filter criteria that was a vendor in that case. Yeah.
Okay.
That's all we need.
I mean, that's the fallback, right? I mean, ideally.
No, that's just what we need. I mean, it's like they don't follow rules. We need to do everything that's possible to prevent you.
Well, we recorded it. It's on the other video. It's been recorded how Jeff did it. So you've got it on the first recording, and then we're recording this one too. I just wanted to get at, you know, I know Jeff and Nick have to head out, I believe. So I just wanted to see if there was anything specific there, Candace or Bill, that while we've got the two technical brains on the line here, if there's anything that they could show you that is important. We did the import, and that's recorded for you, Candace, so you can see it. And trying to think of anything.
I mean, by what I saw, it looked pretty good for what you can do with it.
And I have a specific video just on that tool that we're going to send you. Also, I wrote that down, Bill. So I've sent it, but I'm going to send it again. It's just literally like 10 minutes of how to go build those, build all of those templates that are the you know, description 1, description 2, price, cost, margin, how you're importing it in, and then you can name a little tab, you know, North Face or Patagonia or Cool or whatever, and then you know, you click on the tab next time you do an import, and then you don't have to arrange those columns every time because you've got you know how it's organized. So we have that video for you. I'll send. Yeah, what would you like these guys? Any questions about subsidiaries, or we talked about that a little bit, Candace, too, just so you know, we kind of flip between these two little things here up in the upper left for Whistle, and I'm in a search here, so I'm gonna get out of that.
Cancel your filter.
Actually, I'm pulling stuff to an RTV. I'm in an RTV or return to vendor right here, so that's why, Jeff. So it's right here. I'm in Carhartt, and it pulled all of this forward, the stuff we imported. We were going to do a return to vendor on some of this. So again, in the upper left here, this is how a process. Jeff was saying, of course, we could have a separate bucket of inventory that we're throwing things into if we want to get it out of there and show it as a separate store. That's one way. The other way is we could just take a normal receiving, turn it into a return, and then Jeff, if you could just quickly take over and show us what would you do as a process here in a perfect world?
Well, in the normal process with receiving, not getting into RTV yet, we would order, we would receive, and then at some point we get the invoice. And when we get the invoice, you see on the top center there's an invoice number and an invoice date field that we would then populate. Now, we would only populate those once we balanced it. So if the vendor was invoicing us at a different cost, that never happens though, right? Then we would have to go in and make the correction, right? And then once it balanced, then we would post those things in, and that would basically be retail handing it over to accounts payable, right? To go ahead, approving it for payment, basically, right? And the same thing can occur in the other way. When we do an RTV, we post it, and as long as those two fields aren't populated, right? and or if we don't link them over, there's a link that also can be used. But the link has its own set of marks, the AP mark and the GL mark. So we can report on whether they've been marked for as a or not. So I can see, in other words, I can see the pending stuff that's been returned but not actually returned. If you see where I'm going.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The pending stuff, right? That's what, because you got to follow up on it anyway. You got to get your money at some point.
Yeah. So would we use that? That's what we would use for our offline items?
Yes. 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 I would return it out. I would not have it show as on hand because it's waiting to go back. I would call and try and get the RA number, but you're going to wait for that probably anyway.
So once you do that, you do it and then you'd update and then it's sitting there, right? So it's sitting there as a return. It immediately put all those quantities to negative, or took them out, right? So it's got negative quantities here, right?
Yeah, if you took them below zero, then it made them negative. Yes.
Oh, you're right. Because so you're right. I did a weird thing there. So so
it's just a computer. It's not that smart. We're the human beings.
Okay, so right, but so I do a return to vendor, and then you're holding it. Is that what you're doing, Jeff? And then
no, it's not held. It's there. So every receiving you do has to be reconciled, right? So as a part of a normal process, we can see the ones that are reconciled and are not reconciled, and we can write reports to see the ones that are awaiting approval, shall we say, right? But now this all implies that we have very good processes, right? And that everybody's dotting the I's and crossing the T's, right?
But I think that's what they're saying is they have a lot of staff that they don't, they're trying to make it fail safe and screw up safe here. So, so just as a process, if somebody's returning a Doc Martin boot and it's got an eyelet pulled out and they just want to get it out of inventory so that they don't show 2 10.5s, they only have 1, right? They don't want someone to get excited about this 10.5 that's got a broken eyelet. So what is the process? Because I'm still hazy on it here too. What would be the best process?
I would go in and I would return it out, and then I would set it aside, and at some point later in the week, somebody would then have to sit down and actually do the RTV, right?
So you're saying on a sales receipt, they just do a return, and that puts it back in inventory?
They would take care of the customer, and I don't care. They could do an exchange. However you guys want to handle that. But once it was in inventory, once this broken product was in inventory, they would have to do a return voucher just like you did. And they would have to set that aside on the RTV shelf. Then the person who manages that, typically once a week or once every couple of weeks, gets there, and then they have to go call the vendor and do all the legwork and get that actually returned. And then they would finish.
The only thing you want to be careful of, and I can see this from a manager's perspective, is they don't want the extra steps. They want it so that right now the way they do it is the product comes in, we select a reason code for things now. We do different things, but there has to be something there that just basically, boom, puts it there. It's out of inventory. It's sitting for RTV or RMAs or whatever. But it has to be done at the time of return. They don't want to have it done later. Now they can go back in later and bring it back or adjust it or put an RA or whatever in it at that point. But still, at the register when it's returned, there has to be a way to just put it in that state.
Because I can't pick the store there. I could on a sales order, Jeff, but is there a way to do to draw it in on a sales order and have a store or no? I have a cell phone store, but
not that I'm aware of. So, I mean, Malcolm could probably write something to give us the ability to mark it out and track that in reporting too. I think you want to talk to Malcolm about that. You can't now when their customers returning it. If you're exchanging it, it's in the same store, right?
Right.
Right. So I don't think, Karen, there's any way to direct one item within a receipt to a separate inventory.
No, I don't think so. And I'm looking in the special order just to see if there's a way to do a negative and then a process at store. Is that? Am I just thinking out loud?
No.
Nothing.
Don't even go there. the process that is a global transactional setting. It would not apply to an item. So that's not going to give us anything.
Well, I was thinking of scanning, I guess on the exchange that would hurt, but not on a single item. But anyways, I know what you're talking about. I know I've spec'd this out with Malcolm in the past because someone else has asked for the same type of a thing. I don't know why or if we haven't done it in the past. I mean, maybe he's done that and it's in his arsenal on his website. So let me check on it.
It's kind of surprising because of the different point of sale systems I've looked at. About 70% don't have this and 30% do. So I don't know where that is, but some of them
well,
out of the box.
I agree. It needs to. Seems like it should be. Seems like that should be. Yeah, definitely.
It should be baked in. I would think it should have been baked into like all of them, but I'm just surprised that there's always this is a discussion. We were looking at another cloud system that was like that, and it's like, well, we don't have a way to do it. And they were trying to reinvent the wheel. So it's like, okay.
Well, we're not going to reinvent the wheel. Yeah. We'll tell you straight if we can do it or how we do it, and we'll tell you what our options are. We're not going to.
Yeah, that's good because at one place they just wanted to dump it all into one box, and we'd figure it out from there. They couldn't do it from the store level, or they wanted to create multiple store, and have it there.
Well,
it's like, oh, my word.
Oddly, Yosemite National Park, I just upgraded them, and they do that. They dump it all into one box, and I tried to talk them out of it, and they won't have it. That they like their little box.
Well, if it's one location, I can see it. But when you're dealing with 11 independents,
they have that many though. That's how big they are.
They have like 16. Yeah, they got Tuolumne Meadows and the Village Store, Curry Village, and Mountain Shop, and all of those.
Well, we won't worry about. I know that's an important one because that was in your reports list there too. And Jeff, there was the questions that were back and forth. And while we have Candace just real quick, if there was questions, let me just get in there real quick. You'd made notes, Candace made notes back, and I just wanted to make sure we had the back and forth there figured out. So there was that transfer.
Candace still there?
Yeah.
Candace,
can you hear me?
There she is. So there was example styles, and you made some notes off to the side. I think this is the right Excel document here. Let me just double check.
Excel 2010. Oh my God.
Oh no, this was Candace's stuff. So excuse me, that's not it. There's the transfer copy of the report. This is the one. Excuse me. Yeah, this is what I got emailed from Candace. There we go. So there was Jeff had questions, and then when you were talking about offline inventory, that's what we were talking about there then for that daily sales reports. I gotcha. And then the next one that you had questions on, I think we got you a transfer report that pulls at end of month. Was that okay? The one that we sent you, just knowing that we could tweak that, Candace, and get that transfer report the way you want to see it.
Yeah, and Bill clarified it was the transfer report. Yeah, it was from one store to all the other stores.
Yes, it's one to many. One to all.
Correct. I usually do one to each, and then I subtotal, but I had to back it down to get that level, but I can do it.
Yeah, you see what happens, the reason we have those is that the bookkeeper every month bills the stores from the stores. So one store transfers to another store. So she has to have
it's all on paper.
Yeah, it's all on paper.
And then when you said our tender rec works differently, we can reproduce exactly, but it may be involved. She wants to know that we're not, everything with the old system that they had was, you want that, that'll cost you 10 grand or something.
Well, no. I think we have to start with what we have. So our tender rec doesn't. So what you have in yours is more like the XE out. It's got a variable that changes the tender and then breaks it down, then changes it and breaks it down. Where ours, I typically just row them up. Like for a given date, I show a column for cash, a column for credit card, Visa, MasterCard, all the way across. So our tender rec just works differently. And before we even go down the path of spending money, you got to look and say, well, what do you have now and how does it work, right?
Right, but before we even spend money on custom reports, I mean, yes, we want to look at what we have.
There you go, right there. So that top of the screen there, that's a tender rec, right? That's showing for a given date, for a given store, the cash, the check, the Visa, the MasterCard, the Discover, And then there's some blank credit card slots that are still in that default report, the debit, the gift certificate, gift card. Then on the right, there's some actual revenue sources as opposed to tenders, right? Fees and extended price and tax and that should, so the right values would add up to the receipt total, but so would the tenders, right?
Yeah.
But if there's a way you want to see it that's different, is that what you're saying there, Candace, that you guys have a certain way you want to see things? And I mean, this is Crystal, so we could potentially,
well, it's all to go
report.
into it's going directly into our QuickBooks software. So whatever they need for that is
there's a link. There's a link for that.
Yeah, well, we're not doing,
beautiful.
I know there's an import thing, but I mean, with the way that they're doing it now, we have to have it on paper so that they can just put it into QuickBooks manually. That's how they're doing it at the moment. Later on, we can look at files and imports.
Well, one step at a time.
Yeah, one step at a time.
But this isn't, if there's a certain way you want to see this, is that what you were saying, Candace? Is that, you just didn't want to bend to how we do the tender rec? You wanted us to bend to how it's done currently that you like, or?
I mean, in a perfect world, I don't know. Did you guys send me this report back? I wasn't sure if I had seen this one.
We've sent you. There's a bunch of sample reports here in this sample report thing. So yes, I've sent this a couple times. I'm happy to send this again, but basically, Jeff took the time to write every report, and it's in here.
No. I'm sorry. In the reply to the ones where you sent me all our example ones, do you have like an Excel version of that rather than a PDF that I can show these guys?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I know what you mean. Like the ones that Jeff redid that matched yours. Is that what you mean? Yeah. So no, I don't think we did one that matched yours on the tender rec, right, Jeff?
I mean
tender rec.
If we even have an example, maybe not a PDF, but like a file where it could be like, well, we don't have exactly the same format, but it has all the same info. Here you go. So I can show.
I can do that. Yeah.
The stores. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Karen, you might also run an X out and show her that, because I think that'll match their format much more closely.
Yeah. Sure.
So.
And that's right up here, just within the the X out right here. So
yeah, the X out.
And ours is more like a report that is just giving you the data. A lot of things you Z out or you X out and you're done, and X you can do continuously, but ours is more like a report that you can pick a time frame. If it was just a couple hours ago something weird happened, they could run just the day or just a few hours. And ours does have a place to go do a reconcile, like a opening bank, a closing bank, and you could force certain fields here. Let me just preview it so you can see it. So this one would show, maybe make it a little smaller now.
So skip down to the tenders. So that's all like your top sales and cash flow numbers. But then you get to dollars and after dollars. So this one's going to repeat like your report was repeating, except that we don't have any other to run it for a bigger period, Karen. Run it for like a year. I don't care. Just get enough data in there so we can see some stuff. You know what I mean? Escape.
Yep. How am I getting around in here? Excuse me. Should I just do escape and then I'll go do like minus 30 days or minus 90 days or something in here and save it?
I think that'll give you enough.
It's not letting me. Let's see. I've got today. Why wouldn't it let me go?
Because you're in October of 2020.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so one, and I'll just do 2020. So I'll save that. All right, and then I'll run that. Okay.
Okay.
Preview.
Yeah, just go to like the next page and see what we got down on the other tenders.
Okay. Let's see.
Top left,
scrolling.
next page. Okay, all right, keep going.
So there's.
All right, so you see how checks is then repeated below cash, right? So your report was doing that variable where the tender was the variable, and it was just like a different paragraph for each one, as I recall, right? So go to the next page and go to the top, and now scroll to the top. Do we have any other tenders?
A little bit, yeah.
No, we don't. We don't have any. All you have is Yeah, you don't have much.
Accounts and then deposits.
That is the base way that the XE out. No, go to there we go. Yeah, the middle page. So you've got all the different tenders repeating with the paid in, the paid out, and the net. So you could run this anytime you want for any store.
For any time period.
Correct. And you can turn off and on that detail. Like, I don't know if you really want every Visa listing out.
Right.
But I mean, so the options are we could recreate that report exactly, but that's going to have a price tag. We should definitely look at our tender rec reports and what we have and the XE out before we spend any more money.
Our report's $150 an hour.
No. Well, I mean to say, if you need a tech to help you with something, but Jeff would train you to do your XE outs and then free refresher training forever. So if you needed help, if you didn't know how to do an XE out or the system administrator doesn't know how, that Jeff will go over it again and again and make sure you have an expert on staff.
Custom report, how is that spec'd out?
So the custom report thing works like this. Yes, my time is the same rate as any other tech here. So if I can build it, I'll just build it, and it'll be whatever it takes me to build it. If we need custom SQL writing, then we have to go out and we write a statement of work. So then I have to write a statement of work. I send it to the programmer. They send back, this is what you want to do, and this is the price tag. And then we usually say, no, this is not exactly what we want to do. This is actually what we want to do. And we have to play this little game of ping pong until we get the exact phrasing right, because you don't want to sign a statement of work unless it's exactly what you want, because there's usually a price tag on that. So then if they write the SQL, then I can finish the Crystal part easy.
Right. And usually the turnaround on that's a couple weeks, or
it could be anywhere from a few. I've seen it be like 3 days, and I've seen it be a month. Usually the programmer specifies that they have like a 14-day or a 30-day lead time. They usually tell you what it's going to be in the statement of work.
Okay.
But I do want to tell you, we drop in the 220. The reason I sent this little sample report thing here is because this is I don't know how many are in here, maybe 50, but Jeff has written over years. They've fine-tuned and written these, these are custom reports that somebody wanted, but then, and Jeff's written them, and now they're available for everybody because, but I'll send you this too, because it kind of outlines what they are. They're on hand, there's sales reports, there's tax reports. It gives you a kind of a summary, and then it gives you a lot of these little sample reports in here. So we drop these in. These are 220 approximately are free. Some of them are Big Hairy Dog wrote, some Retail Pro wrote. Anyways, there's, department breakdowns and best sellers and worst sellers and this year and last year. And so whatever the report, these are PDFs so that you can just go look at them, and I've got them kind of nicely laid out that we'll just send you a bunch so you can kind of see it's broken down.
Okay.
All right. But then anything beyond that, we could train you to know how to write Crystal reports so you don't need us at our hourly rate. So Crystal Report Reader comes with it to read the 220. You can buy Writer for, a few $100. You can find it, outside of Big Hairy Dog or through Big Hairy Dog. And Writer is where you can insert the pie chart and make the graph and do what Jeff does. So the goal really is to work ourselves out of a job here to a certain degree, like I said, and then you won't need us at our hourly rate. But if you want Jeff to write a report that's custom beyond his initial trainings, then same hourly rate, or we can send it out to a deeper programmer there. So, but he really does a good job. He's written lots of good reports. This is one with the images, just to give you a sense of like this one is. I like how he kind of threw an image in there, breaking them down. There's a lot to do with Crystal. He's got a great tax report, and I think I showed last time the security report that I don't know if I showed you there, Bill, but this one says Jeff took several little reports in our system and combined them into one, which is nice for Crystal. So by cashier, it shows every time somebody's exiting point of sale or popping the cash drawer, rebooting the system. And every time, I like the exiting point of sale one because that's showing who's backing out and not printing the receipt and just taking money out of the register there. There's lots of ways to kind of catch things that might be going on that you're not aware of.
Okay.
And then the voiding of items. Yeah, so this is one that he just tweaked and created, and now that's available for everybody out there. So I'll send you the sample reports again to see you've got that with the tax reports and all that good stuff. And let's see. And then Jeff, one so that people can take what we've written or take what they're supposed to post into QuickBooks. Is that Daryl who has those nice canned reports that show what to post into QuickBooks, or do you have some for that?
Daryl usually instructs on which. It's pretty basic stuff. It's not usually when you're posting that stuff. The sales you're using a summary, but like receivings you're using a voucher. You want to see the exact transactions that are being posted, and Daryl will be a better person to ask for what reports he uses.
So I'll send you that report that is the tender rec, the way, your tender rec essentially, if you'd like, or just to give you a sample of ours so that you can kind of see in an open file there, a singular file. And then, but he completed these two, and then there was a question on this last one here, not available for sale. So items that are pending RTV for credits from the vendors. So I think we talked about that.
Offline.
Yeah, the offline there. So,
Yeah.
So I will get an answer. There's only one thing that we've talked about that is a Malcolm maybe. A Malcolm maybe is a custom thing. So we don't, I know you've had 2 or 3 customizations, and probably just the word customization is killing you right now because of so many that have been coming at you. But we, most things we are, you want a system to be 95 to 99% beautiful. Usually we're about 95, and then, we can work at getting the rest there, but we're not you wanted a layaway, that's another 20 grand kind of a system. So it's all in there, and if there's something we can't do, we luckily have Malcolm Levine, who used to run the custom division for Retail Pro Corporate, and he can just spec out a plug-in, and they don't typically cost a fortune there. They're affordable, nice. He makes them look fluid. So anyway, and then this last one is, you asked about isn't an X out. This looks like duplicate of rows 3. So what is that? Who was this from? I'm sorry, I'm lost now. Was that your response?
That was me. So row 3 was the an X out.
Like this was that over here, like the 1, 2, 3 Everett, the Everett Nass row, that one, the CSV. Is that what you mean?
I think row 3.
That's row 3, the Everett Nass.csv.
Huh. Maybe I put the wrong row number. Is it tender somebody?
I'm going to have to jump off.
Yeah.
Maybe I put the wrong row. Maybe it was a tender summary. Oh, no. Row 6, store daily audit.
Okay. Stores daily audit. And that one, Jeff, did you answer that one? I mean, the answer.
All right.
That's all right. So, Bill, I'm going to send you the video and also send you the reports. And I've got a bunch of bullet points here of stuff I'm going to forward your way. So,
thank you.
Free services. And I'll call you, 9 o'clock on, 9 o'clock, excuse me, noon. We decided on noon, right?
Yeah, we'll just kind of go over the machines and kind of figure this out.
All right.
Okay.
Sounds good. Talk to you then. Thanks for
seeing. All right, see you later, Bill.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, and so he wanted to talk tomorrow, dear Candace, just to go through the configuration. He does want pricing, and he said that over the weekend Dell had asked for that. So I know we were going to kind of hang back until we had everybody happy with functionality and features, and then dig in. But I think I'm going to give him that line-by-line quote if that's okay, to give him a line-by-line quote and everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's not I'm not the one, saying how many registers or any of that information. So I was just trying to fill you in that that's what, we were waiting on.
Of course.
The go ahead.
Of course.
So
yeah,
I
just want to make sure. No, not at all. I think you'd said just to make sure we get all the questions answered first, and then we dig into the pricing. So not to throw everyone for a loop, but I gave some general pricing there to Bill, and then I'll do a breakdown line by line. So in any hardware you guys want to make use of, we'll dig in, and I'll try and get that all squared away with Bill tomorrow, and I'll make sure you're on that email too. So of this list, do you feel like you got everything that you need here if we send you the tender rec that's your kind of the open file there or the summary file?
Yeah, so let me just look again. So did you guys send also a Z out in what would be not a PDF file?
Not a PDF. Nope, I don't think I did. So I'll send a Z out.
Okay.
I will do that. And then I'll send a Z out and a tender rec, just so you've got both in open files. Okay,
perfect.
rec,
Thank
open file. You got it.
I
will do those
have to
two.
forward them on, so I can't like go, grab PDF that has multiple reports to take screenshots to send to people. So that's perfect if it's in a file format.
Absolutely. No, I absolutely get it. So no problem at all. So, so I guess we still have Nick, and it sounds like we have Nick and Jeff. And so anything, I don't think we showed you, you weren't here for this in the beginning, but we did pop in and look at Willys, and we looked at, I know you were kind of excited by the fact that we could do Willys and we could do Whistle Workwear as two different subsidiaries, and you could just easily pop between the two, and you could easily import for both of them. And I just want to make sure, Nick did the import for us, and it just took just a minute there to import in the data, and it was really, like I said, we have a little video of that too, and of course we'll send you this one. But did you have any questions about the subsidiaries or pulling in different price levels or anything that's important?
I'll watch this video. Yeah, we'll definitely. I mean, if we start scheduling calls with buyers and store managers, we'll get more into reporting and pricing and that sort of thing.
Okay, well, very fun. Well, then anything that while we have these guys, because I think they really had an hour here, and I think I've kept them over by 35 minutes, so I apologize.
Yeah, thank you for your time. No, that's good. I will watch the video and take a peek at the import. I just wanted to see what it looked like to do an import and what the items look like in the matrix. Were there any that you guys had difficulty mapping?
Not really. I mean, I think if we were doing it into live data, I would be a little bit more, fine-tuned with getting your guys' input on what should go where and explaining what the fields were. Most of the stuff was pretty self-explanatory. Descriptions, prices, attributes, sizes, things like that. But there were a few that, I was going to put into some UDF fields, some extra ancillary fields that we have in Retail Pro. We have about 20 extra fields that we can just put data into, just extra data for items and things like that, text fields and UDFs. So I put most of that into those. And, if we were doing it for real, I would, get with you guys and be a little bit more fine-tooth comb about it. But other than that, it was, it was pretty easy. The data you gave us was great, a lot of good data. And so I was able to parse it down into the CSV file. If you don't mind, I'm going to jump in real quick, Karen.
Yeah, please.
So here's the file that I made from what you gave us. And I just dropped it into, kind of took some cells out and cleaned it up a little bit, made it into this CSV file. And this is what we actually imported. So we can look up any of these items in Retail Pro, and it shows us, all this data on there. So.
Well, I'm in Willys right now in the upper left, so I just flipped Willys as a sub. But if you flip back to the other one, so this is the one that came in for Willys, and we did this, just dumped this in there. And I was just going to show you just real quick, and is on this one, I went and grabbed a template. You can see this on the video too, but also those, the cells, like I said, being, there and not there. So pardon me, let me go bring this in there. So I just, extra small through 2X, that came in on the import, but it was all jarbled. It was, 2X, large. It was all over the place. So we did go into this scale, and as soon as I attached this, you go in and save the right scale that's, the same one that's there, and it fixes it. So you just have to touch it that one time, and then it organizes it. The items come in from an import beautifully, and if there's no cell, like if that was blank, like there was no small tall, I'd shown them that I touched these again. I screwed it all up. But if there was blank ones, so then, then it would not have created the item. So it would not be in the list. It would not be available. But I think I hear Bill saying he wants to go mark them as inactive anyway, so that's fine. Either way, but just wanted you to see that. Yep.
What's the best way to locate those items that Bill would want to inactivate so that no sales associates could
so
order them?
like Jeff, we recorded it on the last one. If you go to that last one, because I do want him to see the depth of that, the way Jeff went and wrote that SQL statement, and that would be out in Toolbox. So is it in Technician's Toolkit? Jeff, is Jeff still on there? So it was in Technician's Tech Toolkit, and then I think it's just still admin there, and then
SQL shell.
Yep. So I don't have a clue where I'm going there, Jeff. You'd have to take over. Sorry. But it would be going in.
I don't have keyboard and mouse.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, plus I'm actually in the wrong subsidiary anyways right now, so that matters, right? I'd have to flip back to the right sub for it to work, or no?
No, you can do that at the top, I think.
No, Tech Toolkit doesn't get here to subsidiary.
Yeah, correct.
I'm sorry. You could take it there, Nick. I'm sorry.
I got you. Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Thanks.
So this is recorded for you what Jeff did last time. So it is, you can kind of scroll to it and go slower through this process because it's a lot to look at, but it's really cool that he went and filtered on, whatever features you want. I mean, so, and then it went and found that whole list of product, whatever met the criteria. And then we had it, we just moved that activate column over to the far left, if you remember. So remember, he just put in.
Oh, this is right. Okay.
Remember that, and then he could save that. I mean, it's not like it's something I wouldn't know how to write that, but he could write a statement that you could run and use over and over and over again. That same kind of a filter, right? Or you could just change the wording.
Here?
What's that?
Are you able to sort in here? So if I wanted to find which SKUs were created without a true alias, or barcode, so I wanted to, sort just by what primary barcode was sort of a fake, shorter digit number created that day.
Right.
I'd be able to do that.
We'll see what Nick just did. The order by. There's a command that says order by this field or that field, or you can arrange the order of the fields. Sure.
Gotcha. Okay.
But you can do, if you're looking for anything that doesn't have an ALU, show me everything that where ALU is null. Show me everything where the ALU is actually empty.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Because what we were going to do in the last system, in Celeron before we ditched them, was we were going to make basically fake barcodes just to know which ones the system auto-generated. So even if the vendor doesn't have a barcode, we're going to create a unique number for it so that we knew it was actually a legitimate product.
Are those items still in the data?
Are those items still in the data?
They had 6. Oh, go ahead.
Did they get moved over to RMS?
No, but I have an external template that we would use.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, my thought is if they're easily identifiable, as they pass through Excel before importing, we should just drop them. And if they're easy to filter for, just drop them and never import them. I mean, if you can sort them or order them, you could then get them together and just delete them.
Yeah, they're actually genuine products. So these products would be like products where maybe it's a small vendor who doesn't use UPCs, and so it's a legitimate product. I want to be able to sort the non-legit matrix created, what I call fake SKUs, by barcode. So that's why I'm giving fake barcodes to ones that do actually exist but don't have genuine vendor barcodes, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Which in our system, that is, the system will do that for you too, as far as it'll generate a number. Let's say you could say start at 5,000 and it will just check away at 5,001, 5,002, and that is the barcode that is the retail. You could tell it to start anywhere, and it will just start checking away, doing numbers for you that are unique.
Yeah, those are the ones I want to identify as being fake, though, that the system has created without, like if black came in large, tall, but gray didn't come in tall at all, and it was created just because the black does. I want to be able to easily filter those to find them to inactivate them.
So you can inactivate them. So Jeff, you get what she's saying. Like that's the small, tall. That there is no such thing. That in the former system it would create that phantom item. Now she's saying, let's bring them all in and then know which one is that phantom item. So how do we mark it as phantom so that we can inactivate all that stuff? So they can't possibly order. So they can't possibly order the tall, small.
Sorry, are you guys saying that the small tall wouldn't even show up here at all if it wasn't on my import?
Correct.
Oh.
If you don't bring it in, it's just not there. It's just vanished. And that's what I would do is if you could identify them, and that's the part that for me is the most critical. Is you seem to have a good, clear understanding of it, but I don't yet. Is how do you identify them? If you can identify them, then as they pass out of the other system in Excel, just identify them and delete them. Just delete them out of the damn spreadsheet. Never bring them in.
It doesn't make fake ones in our system, so you'd have to import it in for it to make to make that wrong.
But so
item.
it can be defined by a buyer writing quantities on a purchase order because it's in the matrix. So they write it, then
right.
What pops up is this auto-generated barcode here, right?
Yes, they could do that, but my experience with buyers, they do make mistakes. They don't make that many mistakes. I don't see them building a whole grid of fake items. They might accidentally make one fake item, but generally speaking, buyers buy. They buy what they're supposed to buy. I mean, 90% of the time, in the high 90s, I would guess.
I think with the buyers I think they would understand if it's blank, don't put a quantity in it, unless you let the data team know, like, hey, this now comes in this size, please put a UPC on it. But our sales associates, though, able to go into that same grid and put it?
No.
No.
We talked about that last time with the special order procedure you guys have, which is actually, like I say, I told Bill, a little more mature than what I've suggested for other clients. So what you're using now, that is already known, and there's no learning curve on that for your associates, and we could emulate that and actually improve on it. So I don't know why we would change
the
that.
The $199.99, the $149.99. Just doing it the exact way that you're used to, we could model that and then tweak it and play with that idea, but we could just model what you're doing now.
Well, some of them write purchase orders to vendors as well, so that's the only thing.
And we could do that too. So the same item note fields roughly what they would do is they would write the things on the order form. They would generate the PO. They would go to the PO and they would modify the descriptions, the item note field descriptions as needed.
Jeff,
and they.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think what she's saying is they can accidentally order the wrong small tall because they can. Because in their current form, it allows them to. Ours wouldn't even be there as an option to accidentally order, right?
No, these items that are one and done, the salespeople aren't creating anything. They're using the stock rows, the special order rows that have the special order items, and they can mock them up on the customer's order, and they can mock them up on the PO, and they can send it to the vendor. The vendor will send them the right stuff, and then they got to receive it and give it to the customer. And what we'll get is we'll get the exact cost of the item. We won't get the descriptions. They'll be on the
But right now they allow their cashiers to click the button and generate the PO, I think, is the problem. And instead of being a buyer, they allow their cashier to do it.
You're both right. So, Jeff, you're right about special orders. Yes, we have them use those, and then they write in the descriptions on the purchase order. And then, Karen, you're right that they can also order items that do exist and say we're sold out of the 3X tall on something, then they could order basically a fill-in order for that size, so it's a special order, but it's not necessarily under the special order SKUs. It could be under the genuine SKU if that SKU already exists. But so in that case, they would be in the product, in the matrix. And
yeah, but they wouldn't have edit rights in inventory unless we allowed them to have edit rights in inventory. And at that level, I would generally say they would not have.
So what we do have is choose. So if you have choose rights, you could, you know, if you went to that small tall, and a tall lean bean of a guy comes in and he wants a small tall, and there's no such thing. When they go to the grid, it's not there. It's blank. You see what I mean? So they couldn't order it if they want to, not as just a cashier that has choose rights. They can choose the tall, you know, the tall large, because it comes in a tall large, right? But it doesn't come in a small medium or small tall or a medium tall. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So they couldn't choose it unless somebody defined it. They could make a note that that's what they wanted, and then the buyer could see what they could do, kind of a deal. But
no, that's perfect. So if they aren't able to define a product, basically. That's cute.
Right. They can't make that mistake unless the item's been defined in there. They will see a grayed out box, basically. They'll see a box that's empty, and there's no way for them to put a quantity because they don't have edit rights. They can't change you know, they couldn't accidentally define. A buyer can, because they have edit rights of editing inventory.
So what?
Does that make sense?
Yeah, but so would the buyers need edit rights? So what if we didn't want buyers to have edit rights? What other
you could
rights
take them away.
That's where we would do the
you.
inactivate stuff. I think that's why Bill said, I think we would just pull them in, inactivate things. That's a way to do that so that they can't make a mistake. It sounds like you're just worried about your buyers too. The buyers really need edit rights, Jeff, because they've got to define new inventory when they do their purchasing, right? I mean, that's just.
Why would they, if it's defined, isn't it defined upon import? When we import it, isn't that defining it?
Yeah, you don't let your buyers say, oh, I love this new style here. I'm going to write a purchase order and nobody knows about it, but I'm going to define brand new stuff never before seen in the system on a purchase order, and I'm going to put it out there in a purchase order. You don't allow your buyers to do that?
No, every new item is created within the data team, because otherwise our data gets really gross.
Well, yay, then that's the answer that I didn't realize.
Okay, so the edit
that's the opposite of every company I know of. I'm sorry, I should have got there, because if there's a data team and you guys are the ones who filter everything coming in, of course you can tell your buyers get to choose, and they can do reorders, and they can, they could propose a PO to you too. They could propose a PO to you, couldn't they, Jeff, with proposed PO, or is that also need to edit to do a proposed PO? I think you'd need to edit rights on that too. But your data team would do the imports. That's when you choose product, and then you can turn off edit rights for your buyers. All they can do is what's in the system. That's what they have to work with.
Yeah, but I mean, that's how it is now. Basically, if the SKU doesn't exist, they can't put it on the purchase order.
That's how it would work for them too. If all they have is choose, then they get to choose the quantities from what you have. Period. They can't screw it up unless you gave them edit rights. And if only the data team has edit rights, we're all done talking about. You don't have to ever go do what an old filter thing that we were showing you. You can ignore that and not watch that part of the video now. But you can. I mean, it's still got neat stuff. Like Jeff was saying, that if you wanted to change all, mountain to MT logo, this is the place to filter for anything word mountain and do that kind of a find and replace. I don't know if you have find and replace here, but I don't know if you'd have find and replace here actually, but. Jeff, do you have find and replace in this section, or is that where you'd write the statement up there to say find this and replace it with that?
Yeah, you'd have to say update the database table, set this field equal to this, where it equals this here. Yes, there is such a thing. It's just it's a different form.
Different kind of, like in the main inventory, we have a true find and replace where you just click find and you could say find BLK and change it to BLACK, and it just goes boom and changes. An old vendor name to a new vendor name, and you just see it click away at every row. It's really cool. This is more intricate, obviously, and you have to know what you're doing, or else Jeff could help you with something like this. But most things can be just done in the core of it without any technical knowledge, because this kind of stuff is what, if this, then that's, blow me away with. No, I don't think I could. I mean, of course, I could figure it out if this was what you had to do. But anyways, but let's bounce out of here, and I'll just exit on that. Yeah, we
Hey guys,
Okay.
I unfortunately have to go. I will.
Okay.
But
thank you for your time.
Yeah, no
Thanks,
problem.
Nick.
If you have any
Thank
other
you for
questions,
doing the import.
yeah, no problem. If you have any other questions there, Candace, shoot Karen an email and she can always forward it to me, or if she wants to give you my email too. So.
Will do. Thank you so much.
I know, Jeff, I know you have to go too. I apologize. I know you've been hanging in there. Thank you for that. And I'm sure you got people talking in your ear behind us there too. But no, not at all. Not at all. That we want to make sure we answer all your questions, and these guys have been great. So thanks, Jeff, and I'll let you go. And is there any other things for me though, Candace? I mean, I have all the time in the world. I'm not these guys, but I can show you markdowns or anything that you want to see that's just product related if you have time. Jeff, thank you.
I'm gonna wave goodbye too. All right, bye bye.
All right,
thank you.
Bye guys.
Bye guys.
So just real quick back to the edit, right? So is that only specifically for oh gosh, what's the word?
Well, I'm gonna take you to the employees section where we set these folks up. So there's like, Jeff might have popped in here for a minute, but there's groups and employees. So you can go to groups like set up certain buyers, or you could do a certain person even, but we can set up like administrators, you've got buyers, we've got, point of sale users, and there's, you set up like passwords by person, and there's all sorts of security and things that you can set up there. But if I go to the form view, there's something called permissions here. So it's you can say, let's just go to reports, for example. So if you wanted, you can say a certain person can do a certain kind of, they can add a report, they can, edit reports. Let's do a better area like Retail Pro 9 here. So you got customers, maybe they can add a customer, but they can't delete a customer. And, editing is really important when you get to merchandise. So if I'm in merchandise, who gets to choose and edit, that's kind of there's tons of stuff on all of these. So you can see it's to the nth degree.
Is there one
here
for defining? Is there one that's just like specifically for defining a product?
For what did you say? Designing?
Just defining.
Oh, defining. Yes, yes. So it's the edit, right? Though edit is defining. But here's where if maybe I can't add a new vendor, can I edit vendors? No. I mean, if you check me off, yes. So it's inventory. So we go to inventory, and then there's find and replace. Can I do that? Can I sort by column? Can I merge physical inventory zones when they're doing an inventory? I mean, it goes down to the nth degree, and it is an edit. There is an edit for inventory. Here's all the edits up here. So can you just edit, period, and then it's editing in detail. So you could just say, let them edit everything and check that on. Or you can say, just on-hand quantity, order costs, order fields. So it goes down into a little bit of depth because you want something, maybe some things you want people to be able to edit, but not everything. So anyways, it gets pretty deep, and it goes, here's just editing departments, so there's each section, and you do get, like say editing a customer, for example, but not inventory. And in fact, how these buttons are dim up here where it says save and cancel. Sometimes you might not even want a point of sale clerk to even go to inventory, except maybe a higher level manager can go in inventory and search and do some things. But of course, if they go there, they can't see cost, they can't see margin, they can't see margin dollars. So it's all up to you what they see and what they can edit and change. And you can tweak that a little bit. If you said, I got a key holder or a manager, I want them both to be able to edit inventory, but only in these areas, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
but
anyways,
sorry, I'm looking for defining product on there. So defining the product is
edit is defining product. So editing, like a UPC code. I mean, so. This is probably a better question for Jeff, but choose and edit is a field. So allow editing of an item quantity is part of it. That would have to be turned on for them to be able to add an inventory item. So this is it. It's adding a new UPC code and editing inventory is right here.
I don't know if that would work though, because if it was editing quantity, wouldn't that be also would that not count for on a purchase order?
Oh, I see what you're saying. So you know what, I'd have to say that it's more defining. You're right. So it's going to be defining an item, and editing inventory though is how you define an item. So choosing a quantity is different than, allow editing of an item quantity in choose edit. I know that's got to be different than just choosing and editing, because you're editing the item quantity in choose edits. That's going to be, I think, most people. Let me think about this for a second. Here's purchasing. So here's the defining, because you're in purchasing. So let's do advanced shipping notice, item set. These are all ASNs. That's advanced shipping notices. Let's go down here in purchase orders. So really, it's just going to be purchase order editing a PO, and then here's editing items right there. And then item notes is different. There's like big notes that you could put on an item that say, hey, reorder this one or something. So there's like a little note that follows it. I'd have to ask Jeff what the real life application on this is, but this is, I just wanted you to see the, editing the PO number. So that might be nice, just to be able to change it to be, the name of the special order or something like that, special order Sam Smith, and tying that together with the PO number, but not being able to edit inventory.
Right. Yeah, I think I would want to be able to see what would need to be checked to make it so that nobody could define an item,
Absolutely. Yeah,
because buyers, okay, because they'd still have to be able to order the legitimate ones on the purchase order.
Right, and I think you're right. I think that would probably be the changing quantities and editing quantities, but not not the actual items. Just straight edit mode, or editing the items itself. That's defining new items in edit mode there.
Yeah.
And you'd probably turn on quantity, but you'd turn off edit items. So, but I'll check with Jeff and ask him specifically what are those, and then I'll take some screenshots for you and send that to you so you have it, so you can see. But these permissions are basically down to the receipt. I mean, transfer slips. You can see that you've got permissions, override, and log event here. I think the log event is so you can see who did what in the background, but like T logs. But I'll find out on that too. Let's see. Yeah, and then the auditing. Let's see. So I think I've got everything turned completely on for me, so that I can basically do anything, which isn't always valuable. It's nice to see. It's nice to see when you can turn things off. Yeah. So I don't even know when I'm doing more than I probably should be able to there, but anyway. But yeah, like an employees, the employees are activating and deleting an employee and things like that. You really want to pick a place to add new departments, and to do from Tacoma is where you guys would add new employees or delete employees, and where you would do departments. But those are the only two things that you could add new product at a remote location. You could do anything from anywhere based on who you are. So these are your permissions that we'd set up, and they follow you from location to location. So you log in at store 5, and you still have the exact same rights of adding new product or doing whatever you do as the data for the data team, like you said. So, but the only two things you want to do is departments and new and deleted employees. You do want to pick like Tacoma for that and not deviate, so that nobody's doing that at store 5. But other than that, you do anything from anywhere based on who you are, and that's how that works.
Okay.
Yeah. So, are anything else you can think of that you want to go through or just talk about?
No, I'll watch the video
okay.
of the import. I'm sorry I missed that part.
No. I think you'll get it. You can scroll through to it. You'll see, when he comes up with all the you can see the screen change to be that common delimited file there, and then you can kind of back it up and watch Nick do that, because it is nice. And then there is a video just on the import tool that I'll make sure you have that link I wrote that down. I was going to send that to Bill anyways. That's just a little more detail about how that tool works. We do have a lot of neat import tools, but that we've written, and you guys can pick from, free tools when and if you guys ever sign up, you get to pick some from those free import tools with the order. So, yeah, and I'll send you. There's about 50 custom tools. Have I sent you our menu of the free tools yet, or no? It's like 50. Like there's one suggestive selling. So when you scan an item, it says, hey, get the sunglasses too, or get the, whatever. So there's tools that we've written, and when you sign up, you get your choice, depending on how big the order is, of maybe 3-4 tools that you might want. Import tool, you might want the suggestive selling, you might want, something that's on our list. So if we've done it for someone else, it's now Big Hairy Dog owns it, and we can just give those away to people. Anyways, I'll send you the list. We call it a menu. And
the
you
menu.
might say, oh, what?
I like menus.
Yeah. So you might say, oh, what's, it's EDI. That one was $30,000, and then there's, one that's $500 that was, a little add-on plugin that somebody wanted. So they're all over the place in there, but because we own all of them, there's no cost essentially. So we're just putting them out there for free gifts with purchase, basically. So so I'll send that your way.
Speaking of menus, what's your training like? I mean,
yeah,
I feel like when we did this whole deal with Celeron, it was sort of, okay, here's our topics, and I'll walk you through it. And then there were
we have a very structured. It's really structured, and I'll show you. This is what I love best about Big Hairy Dog. So we have 28 years under our belt. We've done a training checklist. It's like this is the syllabus for taking this class, in a sense. So this is what you would get from us, and there's a binder that comes with, it's a manual, but it's also got this in the start. It's this training checklist that you'd go through with Jeff, for example. So there's 40 to 50 hours for a single store. It's usually 50 plus hours for multi-store. We usually do 5 hours for every additional store after the main Tacoma store, for example. Mm-hmm. And so you might buy, 100 hours, something like that, somewhere in there. So then you check this off with Jeff. You identify the system administrator, who sounds like that would be you. And then we review the equipment. We go through our free services on the website, our free refresher training, all that good stuff. Once you check off the syllabus, it is free forever. So you could say, Jeff, let's go over auto reorder again. Show me again. You'll never see another bill for training, because this list, once it's checked off, it goes in a drawer with Jeff. You also save it, and it's your check sheet for each other. And you can have as many people in the room as you want. We can record these just like I recorded our session and sent it to you in a little YouTube. There's private YouTubes that you can just save these and train new people coming in and just say, go here and watch an exchange, watch a return. So it's basically a little checklist that once you check off, got it on purchasing, got it on receiving, got it on reporting, transfers, auto transfers, it's free forever at that point after you go through the syllabus. On training, so support is different. We don't do contracts year to year for the rest of your life. We do that, a bank of hours. So a chunk of that would go to statements that you just get every month that say, spent 2 hours with so-and-so, or spent, for tech support, it might be 10 minutes with Nick, who helped you with the import or something. And then that's $2.50 a minute. It's against that bank of hours, but we're $150 an hour, basically. So, but we do free tech support, free chat rooms, free knowledge base, free email support, a free blog, and free question and answer boards, things like that. So there's free supplemental services in there too, that if you're the type, I was explaining to Bill before he jumped on, that we have a knowledge base like 28 years of Nick. When he figures out how to do something, he would go in and outline, this is how you fix this bug with this maintenance pack or whatever. And then if you're experiencing a problem, maybe Bill's more technical and he wants to go in there and, if you want to do the knowledge base, you go in and just type in matrix bug or something, and it would come up with, hey, we experienced this bug, here's the hot fix that fixed it, here's the process. So you can answer your own question on whatever is going on a lot of times if you're technical, because we do put it out there for everybody for the knowledge base. Yeah, it's just kind of nice. And then we've got anyway, the training checklist. This is the training checklist, but then we've also got the timeline. I don't know if I sent you the sample timeline. Did I send you a sample timeline yet or no?
I don't think so.
Well, this is
I'll be honest.
What Dell? Yeah.
With PDFs, I'm really bad about, like, I can understand files better than PDFs. I'm not a very graphy.
No,
yeah,
that's okay.
I'm not a very graphy person.
Then you tell me what you want. I mean, we could even make a book like I do sample RFPs for people where I just kind of put, here's about our company, and like do some tabs and organize it. I'm happy to do that for you guys. And I might have, did I send you any books or anything like that yet? Or yeah, we're happy to do that though. So,
yeah.
Okay, maybe that's something we should do. So I will get with our group.
I mean, you don't need to create anything special for us, but and
this is the 3 months. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Oh, do you guys have any? Do you have like a manual we could look at?
Yeah. Well, I think I will send you the book because it's easy enough to just send you the manuals. I mean, that's what we would send you as a new user. And you guys have been through the ringer enough with other systems that I think we should show you, like, you know what I mean? Just get you everything, any documentation, anything, so you can really see who we are, all the stuff that you'd start with. I'll just send you sample manuals, or they're real manuals, but it'll have the sample timeline in there and stuff, and a bunch of other stuff. So that training checklist is what we go through as the syllabus. We send you the training checklist, and then we send you, we'll send you the sample, and then the timeline. The timeline is important to know that it's about 3 months from start to go live, usually from, and the larger the operation, it might take a 3 month period.
Show me what I'm looking at here. Why is there like flags at the
so let's
bottom,
say somebody signs up June 30th, and I know it's late, it's July, but they'd have all of July, all of August, all of September, and go live at the end of September. It's a 3 month. So if you start at the end of July, you'd have all of August, all of September, all of October. Like end of October or first part of November could be a go live for you essentially. So a 3 month window, start to finish. That's for us to export the old system. You got to clean it up. There's going through that syllabus of training checklists. It takes a couple months to do that, and then a month of just fine tuning and tweaking to get somebody where they can go live. And we do a ton of hand holding all the way through. So that's our process.
Gotcha. Okay, so those squares are basically just the different training.
Right. The training classes, that is the syllabus that I just showed you. Like if we brought up the training syllabus, where's the training checklist? Here it is. So that was already up on the screen there a second ago. So the training checklist, once we actually sign someone up, we go through and assign each training class. Like this is training 1, so that might be. That might be August 15th or something. Let's just pretend. And then, you skip 2 days, and August 17th would be training number 2. Actually, these are 4 hours each. So there's training, training 1 might be 2 hours. And then this one is, merchandise is 4 to 6 hours. So that's 2 to 3 appointments, right? Because they're 2 hour blocks. So it might take a few to get through each one, but then you're checking off the syllabus. We do give you that same timeline, but you'll have dates where those trainings are just blocks on the top. It would say on the 17th, the 19th. We skip a day or 2 in between because it is a lot to take in all at once, right? So it can be overwhelming if we don't. Just give a day to digest, read your manual a little bit. And sometimes if we're going over purchase orders, they say your homework is wrap up your POs, you're putting in your own stuff so that it crystallizes because you're doing your own purchase orders, for example. But, everything from emailing the PO to managing a PO and screen designs and all this stuff, they bring what they've learned over years to the table, too. They don't just throw it at you so that it doesn't make any sense. It's, let's look at your product. Let's put in your product. They do your import so you can see your real stuff in Retail Pro because then it crystallizes and then it looks more real, right? So, yeah. So yeah, that's the process. Basically, as we go through, check it off. Once you get close to where you're at the end, you know, you've learned purchasing and receiving, and here's special orders, and once you get down to the bottom, then we can plan the go live. We used to get on site, and I think we've got some travel bans and things to deal with right now. So we're kind of doing it a case by case for everybody. You know, you're a drive away from me. I mean, I'm here in Portland, but you know, to have a trainer and a tech, sometimes we're having a local hardware person, but you guys have Bill too. I don't know if he's the kind of IT person that's going to want to roll up the sleeves and help plug in, you know, hardware and software and, you know, get things done store to store. But we do have local hardware groups, like we did Quimper Mercantile, and we worked with a local hardware group who put in the server, and we put in a lot of the hardware too, but we worked together and then just helped them go live during the COVID here. You know, literally they signed up. Oh, they're in Port Townsend, or I always forget the the city here, but it's on the water in Washington. Anyways, I want to say Port Townsend, but I could be saying the wrong thing. Anyways, but we just walked them through it all over the phone, and but they are a giant single store, like a department store. I think for you guys, I mean, we'd have to come up with a plan, and we would make it, you know, tailor it for, maybe there's some local hardware guy who's our hands. We're dialing in and we're the brains, and we're setting up the systems, and the computers came from us, so they're all ready to plug and go, or we redo your computers and make use of whatever we can that's good hardware. We would just kind of, or maybe a mixture of both, you know, we'd have to figure it out. How much of your stuff is newer that you guys got from like the RMS or the Celerant?
That is such a Bill question. I know we have some hardware. I know we have some hardware that he was hoping to reuse if possible, but I'm not sure. It just depends if it's compatible. I think a lot of it. Give me a list. Yeah, I think a lot of hardware was on our end, you know, setting it up. But as far as, I don't know, some of the configuration I think had to be done remotely by their team.
Got it. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know exactly.
We do that so well though. I know some systems out there, I mean, especially the cloud, it's like you said, you have a weird login for this store, or a weird login for that store. Actually, I was thinking that was another, there was a client I was talking to that has 2 stores on Lightspeed, and she had these weird login situations where she was getting login errors, logging in different to each location, and just had to remember the passes, and just some weird stuff for the cloud. But we're really good with what we do, and we can do it remotely. It's just making sure we have a good set of hands on the other end, or a good, you know, brain on the other end who's a little bit technical, that can help us to make sure we set up the talking between locations right and all that good stuff. So
that is Bill.
That is Bill. So it sounds like he's our guy, and so
he's a one-man band.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is something special that we do, that once it's checked off, you never see another bill from us for anything. And I love like auto min-max. I mean, as far as the training stuff. So let's say we train you on min-maxes, but you only start with baby steps of just a certain style, then you add more, and then you add more, and we help you grow with that. And that's where it really pays to have the free refresher training forever, where you can call Jeff and have time booked to just get more and more and more out of the system. And he's willing, if you're willing, to do that and to keep after it. I mean, he's just the guy that stays till, you know, he doesn't care. He just stays late, but he's also, you know, he's there from early. I think he starts at 8 and he goes usually 8 to 5, or if I need him at 7, he'll come in at 7 and just kind of get it done.
It was nice of him to stay late for us today. I feel bad.
Oh no, that's okay. He really is going to be there. He's still there now. He's doing other stuff. I know Jeff. He's not going home. He's got 3 kids that are all grown, and they're out of the house, and this is what he does. He just helps. Really, he's really great though. And anyways, I'm going to send you this recording tomorrow so you have it, and just can kind of scroll through and see that import. I do want you to see how slick that is, and I'll send you a video on the import tool. If there's any other things you can think of, I'm going to send the reports that we talked about.
The manual.
Yeah, that
manual
manual for sure. Absolutely,
Perfect.
you'll love the manual. It's kind of thick, couple thick binders, but it is it's nice. We have an electronic manual too, so if you're in Retail Pro, you can press a key and it's context sensitive too. It's like, oh, there's the manual pop up, like it's, I forget if it's F1. Nope, I'm going to do the wrong thing there. But there's the manuals would be embedded right here. Some people put it right in the front screen, like I have my Puma stuff there, but we could just have electronic manuals right there in the front screen, so you can click, and if you're in purchase orders and you click, it's what do you want to know about purchase orders. So
and then can you type a search in it?
Yeah, it's searchable. I don't have it listed here. I wonder if I've got it in my other, but maybe I'll show you that next time we go through. I'll have
that sounds really convenient.
It's super nice. It just goes into an index, and it's like, oh, purchase orders. What do I want to know? Add a PO, change a PO, modify a PO, or whatever. It goes through, and you just click, and then it takes you right to what you're looking for, depending on where you are in the system. So it's really nice. But I'll send you the big manuals too, so you have them. I'm writing it down. All right. Well, we'll start with that, and then hopefully let us know if you think of anything else once you get this pile of stuff I'm about to send you. And if you're not a graphics person, you want to just see the manuals, and just see the reports and manuals. And is there anything else you can think of that we could be doing?
Not right now. I think once Bill. He wasn't ready to talk about money before, but Bill wants it now, so now we're.
He does. He said something over. He said something over the weekend, so we'll get that squared away for him. So he's got it. And then let me. You did find somebody on the the website stuff. You found somebody, or you haven't found anybody yet?
For Shopify, we have I did find someone. I don't know if they'll pan out, but we'll be talking to them tomorrow. So, but if you had anyone off the top of your head, I would check them out. But if not, then no worries.
I got a note from Kurt Beacon, who's in Beaverton here, but because they didn't know the RMS, and I thought they might, but they didn't. Okay. They know Shopify like the back of their hand. They know everything about Shopify, but the link between Shopify and the RMS is a special link made by RMS.
Right.
I do know a lot of RMS distributors that I can point you to that you can sure talk to, and their new product is called Hero. It's not even as great as RMS. So they might say, oh, you should buy Hero. I mean, I'm happy to give you all my RMS contacts. They're just going to transfer you on this package.
No,
it's more
that's
like
okay.
But no, I'll give them if you get stuck, let me know, because there's one in the Northwest here, and I feel like it's like positive. I just have to go do a search in my vendors and competitive files there. But there's one called Positive Technologies that's in Portland area. I've got a few. I've actually gone to their website because RMS was sunset. So I've gone to their website, and they, a million years ago, they had the Seahawks and, the different companies that I just wanted to make sure, hey, are you still on RMS Microsoft? If yes, let's get them transitioned over to Retail Pro. So I did just do a little survey of who's who out there. Okay. So I could at least get you a few companies there that might have people, more likely to have people that do the integration to NitroCell and to the Shopify, hopefully there for you.
Okay. Yeah, we'll talk with these people tomorrow, and I found on Shopify they had a whole list of like trusted Shopify professionals. So I think it's just a matter of it's just a matter of finding the right one. So
all right. Like I said, if you hit a wall, I've at least got some other dealers there we can put in your way. So I've got them on my Rolodex in Retail Pro there, so I can pull them up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Let me know how it pans out. All right. Well, I'll get you this video tomorrow, and then we'll get your manuals and things started, and then I'm going to get with Bill tomorrow on the pricing, and then let us know if you have. On the references and things, I think we got you most of what we were looking for out there. And but if you think of anything else, just let me know.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much,
All
Karen.
right.
Appreciate
Thanks, Candace. Oh, no problem. Talk to you later.
Have a good night.
Okay. You too. Good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.